My ideal client would know that they need me when their clients are struggling to find their breakthrough moment. So, for example, they are looking for figuring out their self doubt, understanding their own limiting beliefs. And no matter how many coaching, visualization, meditation sessions that they've done with their clients, they're still struggling. So, my ideal client would then reach out to me and say, Lindsay, I need your help. And we are then creating the AI images and the vision boards so that they can visualize stronger and easier when they're going through their transformation and their breakthroughs. So when I work with my clients, their work with their clients improves because what tends to happen when we're working with a mindset coach, for example, sometimes we struggle with the actual picture in our head. When we do meditation, visualization, we don't always know exactly what it looks like. So now imagine I come in, I create the AI images and on the AI image board, and my client, the coach, the mindset coach, then says to their client, okay, now we're going to read our future letter to ourselves. Now we're going to talk to our 2 years down the road self. And the image is there looking back at them. So now they don't have to think how they visualize. They know how they visualize because the image is staring right back at them. So they're able, my client, the mindset coach, the business coach, the visualization coach is now able to get breakthroughs faster because their clients can visualize better and work stronger. And then that coach, my client, is then able to work with them on the hows, the what's, the whens. All I do is I give them the who, which is them looking back at themselves, living their best life, their future life, their big dreams. AI images that I do come in twofold. So most of the coaches that I currently work with, they do their own AI images and vision board because honestly, I feel like unless you see it yourself, you're not able to really, really understand it. So every coach that I start with, I get them to do their own AI images and their AI vision boards so they understand what I'm talking about. Then they bring their clients on board and say, okay, this is my AI images. This is what I feel. This is how I've been doing my visualization. Let's get you on board as well. So I do either workshops showing them how to do it themselves, their clients, and their clients can do it themselves, or I provide it for each of their clients. So I am working with a business coach right now. She has a program with 10 people in it. I'm creating all 10 people's vision boards and images, and that's their starting point for their program. So now everything that she teaches beyond the AI images, they can be used for visualization, and it is having incredible results because people now can take it, use it, and build and break through and have all those moments. And it's the most beautiful thing ever. So vision boards are not just magic, and they are backed by neuroscience. And so the science behind vision boards really comes from our reticular activating system, which is called your RAS in your brain. And if you imagine, it's like the bouncer. I always laugh because I can't remember the last time I went to a club, but let's just pretend we're at a club and the bouncer's standing there and he's saying, you can come in, you can come in, you come in. Nope, you can't come in. That's what our brain does. We have so much information coming at us on a regular basis. The RAS decides what's relevant and what's not. And oftentimes there are four things that are very relevant. Your name. So if you're ever in an airport and you hear somebody and you're like, that was weird, right? If you're in danger, that kind of stomach tingly feeling, that's your RAS saying this is important. Sexual advances, that's something that comes up as well. And the fourth one, which is in my opinion, the most important, the things it thinks is the most important to you. Okay, and let me rephrase that. The RES lets in what it thinks is important to you. So if you're talking negatively, or if you're saying I can't, or if you're not visualizing your future self, your RES is like, oh, okay, well, that's not important. I'm just going to show her all the proof of why that's not going to happen. So now if you turn that the other way, where you're saying, my future self, right? I talk to my 80-year-old self often. I even have an AI image of her. She's beautiful. And I want her to say to me, the things I'm doing today are going to benefit my life when I'm 80. I want to be mobile. I want to be healthy. I want to be all these things. So my RES sees that and says, oh, well, moving your body and eating well and looking at your future self and having a good mindset, that's important to you. So I'm going to let that in. I'm going to let that in. I'm going to let that in. So the neuroscience behind it is the neurons are like, oh, this is important. Also, from a neuroscience point of view, our brain doesn't actually know the difference between doing and thinking about doing, imagining and thinking about, it doesn't actually know the difference. So first of all, how great is that? Because now we can take an opportunity to be like, I'm seeing myself standing on a stage speaking to thousands of people. And the brain's like, ooh, now that's important to her. And it's working in the brain to say, okay, these are the things I need to do. So the science behind the vision board and the AI images is to take what we want, our goals, our dreams, and not only bring them to life, but also tell our brain that it's possible because it's already been done. So I'm looking at myself. I have a vision of me crossing the finish line. I have a medal around my I'm like, yeah. And before, my vision board would have a pair of running shoes or the name of the race that I was doing. Now it has a picture of me already done, looking amazing, feeling great, huge smile on my face. And my brain's like, oh, well, of course it can be done. It's already been done right there. I see that. And so the science of the vision board back and forth is these mini moments, right? We manifest, we visualize these mini moments. I have my vision board on like a slideshow every time my computer sits for whatever 2 minutes. And every time it comes up, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, I take a moment. And partly because it's so bloody powerful, it's like, like I just have to take a moment. But the other part of that is every time I see that, every single time I see that, my brain's like, important, check, got it, registered, let's go do something to make that happen. Check, registered, got it, let's go do that to make it happen. So if you're constantly visualizing and you're thinking the positive thoughts and you're doing all those things, your brain knows, one, it's important, and two, we got this, right? Any irrational belief of, I can't, I'm not, it's not possible, maybe I'm too lazy, whatever those things that we constantly do say, unfortunately, as human beings, is taken away because the vision is staring right back at me saying, you already did this. Look at the smile on your face. You got the medal already. And my brain's like, yeah. So it takes it a complete opposite direction. And that's why the science behind the vision board is so powerful. Often get asked by coaches and individuals, how does somebody take an AI image vision board and put it into action? Okay, so I am a life coach and a mindset coach, and I can do plenty of those. So I give tips, I give ideas on my, like I said, my mini moments where I take the manifestation and I have it, the visualization. But what I do when I work with coaches is I want their expertise to shine. I want them to really use my tool as their thing. So the workshop I did today, for example, I already knew because we had had a conversation, the coach and I, that visualizing was something that her group was struggling with. So my workshop was tailored to her program, to her actions, to her next steps. And so I gave the tool of the AI vision board, and she was responsible for doing the coaching part of it. So again, it's not that I can't, and I absolutely will if somebody has a question, or if maybe they're not a coach themselves and they're just looking at me being like, I love this, I want this. I, of course, can help with what to put on your vision board. That's the clarity portion of it. And then the other side of it is, now how do I put it into action? That is something that I've done for years, but with working with different coaches, I don't want to take away from their beautiful coaching. I want them to incorporate their, tricks and tips and all of those things. So we definitely have a conversation, the coach and I, so that when I come in, whether I'm doing my one-on-one with them, because what I do is I get them to fill out a very in-depth questionnaire about their goals and their life, etc. Then I just confirm colors and, like I said, gold versus silver, all of these things. And then I create the vision board, and I work with the coach to make sure that I'm creating based on their methodologies, their information, what they do next in their program, what they're planning on to do if it's a one-on-one client. So I personalize it very much to the coach's way of doing things so that they are able to really value their own coaching, because that's the beauty of this. They are great coaches. I'm just taking and giving them a tool that helps them make themselves better. When it comes to AI images, vision boards, often people ask me, well, how does it actually get me to do anything? And foremost, it is not magic. If I want to run a race, I still have to get my butt out of the chair and go for a run. It's not doing it for me. So that's the first thing. I always have to clarify that. It's not a magic thing. But what it does is, because you are sitting here looking at it, and I'll give you, I've got multiple examples from myself as well as other clients. I had a client who really wanted to write a book. She's been talking about writing a book, and that hits me right here, because this is like my life. Every time I talk about writing a book, my husband's like, yeah, okay. So I know what this is going. But what she did is she was afraid. She was afraid that people wouldn't didn't care what she had to say. She was afraid. She didn't think that anything was that interesting. And what if she couldn't finish it? She had a lot of fear, a lot of, beliefs that we have in there. And I created her an image on her AI vision board with her holding her book, standing in front of a crowd, doing her very first book launch. And every time she'd sit down at the table, instead of procrastinating, which is what our mind usually does when we have fear, instead of thinking, oh, I have to do all these other things, when it was time to write, she would pick up her vision board. She'd look at the image of her holding her book at her book launch, and she would start writing. It's not perfect. Maybe it was brain dump like it would do, but I'm happy to tell you 2 months later, she's written 4 chapters of her book. So again, not magic, not, if I'm working with clients that are coaches, they're doing this step by step, but this client actually is one of mine. And I work with her and say, all I want you to do is every time it's time to sit down and do your writing time, because that was what she had, I want you to pull up that image. Maybe you write nothing. Maybe you write 2 words. Maybe you write 50 words. I don't even care. Just pull up that image. And inevitably, every single time she's pulled up that image, she's written 2 to 3 pages, because that future self of her is saying, look, your book is already published. It's done. People love it. You're on a book tour. Now pick up the bloody pen and start writing. And so that's how we really see the moving forward, right? Moving the needle forward. My own experience with getting off my chair and going for a run when I really didn't want to, or, I'd put off registering for a race for forever. Because again, that brain of ours is a complicated mess. And my vision board has me racing. So I would stare and I'd look at it and I'd be like, oh, I'd sit there and look at it. And then finally my husband actually came in and he's like, that image just keeps looking at you and you're not doing anything about it. And I was just like, oh, damn. So now, of course, the image is saying, okay, future self me has finished this race. So, current you needs to sign up for said race. And so it was like, okay, I'll do it. So again, by seeing yourself already in that future, right? Whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 80-year-old self, you are then giving yourself an opportunity to say, okay, present me needs to do this, this, and this, so future me can have it done. And so that's really how we break it down to move ourselves forward or move that needle forward. And it's, it's still baby steps. It's still small habit changes. It's not completely changing, everything that we do, but from a coaching perspective, it's look at the image, think about your future self. What can you do right now that's going to benefit said future self, and do that? And it could be one thing, it could be 2 things. I mean, ideally it's not 50 things because we don't do those things very well, but do it and we move the needle forward every single time.